now there is a need and a desire for that simplistic lifestyle. So I want to kind of create the convenience of the modern life with that simplistic lifestyle. And I want everybody to be able to pronounce their food and know that it's whole food.
Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast, a weekly podcast providing career and creative inspiration to help you build a purpose-filled life. If you're interested in tapping into your creative potential, pursuing a career with passion, and building on your biggest and best resource, yourself, please join me on this path. I'm your host, Nancy Moore, and I want you to know that I'm on this journey with you. So let's get started. What do you get when you roll popular adages together like eat healthy, support local, farm to table, and kid-friendly? The answer is pure and simple. Market, that is. Alacia Parker and her husband Aleks recently established Pure and Simple Market, a kid-friendly grocery and convenience store in downtown Coweta, Oklahoma. They saw a need in their community and decided to jump on the chance to create a one-stop shop market that simplifies the grocery shopping experience while working to connect families with farmers and local producers who are close to home. And of course, creating a kid-friendly environment and space was especially important because they have 4 young kids themselves. Okay, Alacia.
Yes.
Welcome to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast.
Thank you.
I am so happy to be talking to you today. You have a really cool store in Coweta, Oklahoma that is pretty incredible what you all have started. And so we're going to talk about the store, Pure and Simple Market, and what you guys have going. But the market is an interesting concept for Coweta. And I wanted you to kind of share a little bit about how you came up with the idea to start the market.
So in 2020, our eyes were very open to how quickly we can be affected by the current food system. And I knew there were so many people around our area that create food or grow food. There's farmers, food entrepreneurs that create food that actually support our body. And I wanted to be able to bring that all into one space instead of having to go grab it at different places, and then just bring the aspects of a grocery store, the convenience of a grocery store.
Okay. So let me ask, and you didn't know I was going to ask you this, but is that how you grew up? Did you grow up eating healthy with local foods? What got you interested in that?
I didn't grow up eating healthy. I was the typical 90s child, so we had all the food under the sun. But in about high school, around there, when I started working, I started buying my own groceries from Whole Foods because I just wanted to feel better and eat better. And then I would say once I had kids, it really catapulted from there, just wanting to make better decisions for my kids' health and get them on a better track than I was.
Okay, yeah. It's always interesting because I grew up, my mother actually ground her own wheat, baked bread. We had a garden. And so for us, my sister and I and our family had a really good start with that. But we didn't, back when I was growing up, we didn't know a lot about, local farms around us and supporting local and that kind of thing. So you're bringing that all together at the store.
Yes. I feel like we have really gone from the very simplistic lifestyle way back then to very convenient lifestyle. And when you're getting into convenience, it is about how much these companies can push through. And so now there is a need and a desire for that simplistic lifestyle. So I want to kind of create the convenience of the modern life with that simplistic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So the space that you have designed facilitates that.
Yes.
So tell us a little about that space.
So we first started as, wanting to just be a grocery store. But the more that we're getting into it, it's kind of shifting to really focusing on the experience And so with that experience, we focus on being peaceful. So the smell in there is lemongrass. It's earthy and just fresh. And then you hear acoustic music. And so it's just very serene. And then there's also a kids playing area. I have too many kids not to have a good kid area. And so I wanted to bring that to all the other moms because, I mean, if you have kids and young kids, going into a grocery store is just not what you want to do. And so a lot of people go and do grocery delivery now or pick up groceries. And I just wanted to create a space where kids can come and hang out while the parents shop, and it's just a peaceful experience.
I love that. So when you say I have too many kids, okay, you have 4.
Yes.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about their ages, because they're all pretty young still.
Yes, we have a 6, 5, 4, and 2.5-year-old. So the gap between them ranges from 11 months apart to 16 months apart.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids space that you have, that you offer, I know you had mentioned that people, as they're shopping, can easily see their kids as they're playing in the play space. Tell me about how you organize the play space, what that offers for kids.
So we have a kitchen in there, and then we also have these little buckets. It's supposed to be like a garden where they pick their food and cook it in the kitchen. We have a little table area, and then now we're really focusing on events as well. So we're doing like sensory bins events. I had 20 pounds of oatmeal that I brought into the store with little sensory bin buckets for each child, and they were just playing with it. It was like the most organized chaos I've ever seen. There was probably 50 kids at one time, and it went so smooth. And so we have events like that, and then this Saturday we're doing, there's a local person she wrote a book about her duck and dog's friendship, and she's going to bring the actual duck and dog and read us the story, and so we're going to do a lot like that too.
Okay, so tell me a little more about your event space. That's something where people in the community can rent the space and come in, or is it invite only? You invite certain people to come in, or how does that work?
So we have a space in the back where it fits around 20 people, and you can rent that for $30 an hour. We keep it low because people come in and they buy food, and so it just makes sense for us to be able to do that. And then we did the sensory event on the 3rd snow day because I know that was the 3rd day all schools were canceled. Everybody was cooped up in the house. We also just do events open to the public. Like the sensory event was free for anybody to come.
Okay, and how do they find out about those events?
I post them on my social media. So I'll do it on my Instagram stories, my Instagram posts, and my Facebook posts.
Okay, perfect. And tell us what that is, your Facebook, Instagram, and...
So my Instagram is pure_simple_market, and then Facebook is just pure simple market.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you've mentioned about the grocery and the space. I'd love to find out a little bit more about the products that you have, because you actually, when you got here, I was so excited. You gifted me a kombucha. I hope I'm saying it right.
Yes, you did.
But anyway, from Robinson Ranch. And so we'll give a shout out to Robinson Ranch because it is delicious, and it's cranberry raspberry. And this is one of my favorites. I know you didn't know that I love this, and so tried it, and it's delicious, you guys. So I know you have this, but what else do you have in the store?
So we have about 50% of the store is local, and then the other half is more focused on organic and better ingredient, non-toxic items. I try and get items in there that you can't really find in town at all. So like earthly, branch basics, just ingredients. But with the local stuff, all of our meat is local besides bison, venison, and elk. Our dairy, we have a lot of that local. Our baked goods are local. And so we really focus on having simple ingredient items. It's not very often you come across local and organic, but you can come across local with better ingredient items.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I know you have a business.
Yes.
You and your husband have a home inspection business. And when you were telling people about starting this new business, what did they think? Whether it was friends or family, or how did they react to that?
They didn't really have much of a reaction. I mean, we've had 4 kids in 3.5 years and businesses. We've had another business that we sold and investments, and so it wasn't really out of the norm. I don't remember why it went from an idea to actually acting it out. I don't remember that time, but we just thought this was the best next business, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has been wildly popular, as I've been seeing. And I saw your event as you were cleaning up on social media, the sensory bin event that you had for kids, and opening the space, I think, was such a neat thing for families and for kids to be able to go and get out and, experience that. So I know that the space is really a community space, what you're doing, and then you offer all the grocery stuff, so it's pretty amazing. So
yes, I think I know God just put this idea in our life at the perfect timing, and he just kind of puts ideas in at the right timing continuously. So we have been just so blessed and so blown away by his goodness.
It's neat that you say that, because sometimes an idea or something that you get that you don't act on and you should, I feel like you did act on it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely not mine. I know that he put it in there at the perfect timing, and like with the sensory bin idea too, that was just something he put at the perfect timing.
Okay, yeah, that's so neat. So throughout this process, I'm wondering if you could kind of share what you've learned over the past year as you've been leading up to the business and then, opening your doors.
So we opened grocery delivery 8 months before we opened the doors. And so we did a lot of work during that time. And with Parker Inspections, there were a lot of things that we learned there that I just carried through. And one of the biggest things is just consistency. There were so many days I wanted to quit and not want to do it. I told my husband so many times, should we just stop? But we just kept going, and consistency is what kept me through, because I knew that if I didn't do anything, I could be consistent, and I know that something would have happened eventually. I didn't know when, but eventually. So we went through 8 months of grocery delivery with no return, being consistent on social media and getting the word out there, and then we opened.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat. I think consistency is key.
Yes.
Yeah, just plugging away, putting one foot in front of the other and
doing all the stuff that you don't want to do. Another big thing that I've learned throughout this process is having the kids so close, it's not the easiest to bring them along the journey because they're young. They need to be taught all the time, almost every second of every day. They're wanting to be taught. And so just kind of changing my perspective on that and trying to shift my perspective on, instead of like, I need to get all of these things done, but like, how can I get these things done and teach my kids at the same time? It's been a very big tension, and it's a good tension because you learn through it, but it has just shown me that you don't have to have just work and just family. Like, you can combine the two, and it's messy, and it's just not the easiest, but it's okay that it's messy and not easy.
So you have, though, a partner in life and in your business, your husband, Aleks, and I'm just wondering about the duties that you guys share and how that works with the multiple businesses, including the new grocery store, and then the 4 kids, kind of how you juggle that.
So me and my husband have the exact same personality. We're both 3s and very close, like a 7. And like, we have the same score on the Enneagram. And so with that, I just feel like God has really used that with us together to be able to split everything half and half. So of course it ebbs and flows. With Parker Inspections, he had to do a lot of work up front. And then with the grocery store, I have to do a lot of work up front. And so we switch with like family and business and just stuff at the house too. But before we opened the grocery store, we were home most of the time. About 90% of the time we were home together. And it was just slow, and we just do everything together. We like to be together as a family all the time. So that's what we're moving towards, with like hiring somebody for the store and getting that going and just getting systems and processes together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about starting a business?
I would say give it a lot of time before you quit and be consistent during that time. So never stop being consistent. Whether you want to or you don't, it comes down to the discipline, not your feelings. And so once you kind of change that perspective and you just keep on doing, then you will get a return.
Okay. Such good advice. Okay. So tell me about the Coweta area, because I'm not as familiar with that area. So you're in the downtown. The Pure and Simple Market is located downtown. And so if you could kind of tell us a little bit maybe about that area.
So in downtown, you have a really cute coffee shop called Wild Child. And then there's another store that opened up called Salt and Soul. They just moved locations, and they're more on the local boutique type side, like gifts and stuff. But we just moved to Coweta like 5 months ago, so I'm new to the area too.
Okay.
So we don't know a ton about it. We came from Bixby. But it's a really neat area, especially during the day, where you can go and just visit all of the little shops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't wait, because I'm going to come and do a live and we'll visit, but I want to allow time to look around the area that you're into. So
that'd be cool.
Anyway.
And you'll have to tell me about it.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Okay. So I'm also wondering about what your family likes to do when you are not at work.
We like to be outside all the time. We basically live outside when it's warm, and we like to go to the beach, and we like to go on hikes. That's what we do as a family.
Okay.
And we just started a game night, so at night together as a family, we play games together before bed. So
That's a neat tradition to start.
Yeah.
Whether it be like a family movie night or a family game night or something like that. I feel like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So what do your kids think about the store?
At first they loved it.
Because it was new.
Yes. But now that we're in it and we're there so many hours a week, they're not there all the time. They're at home with Aleks if I'm at the store, or we switch. But now they just come in and they want to eat everything in there. So they find their favorite snacks and favorite treats to get, but they still like playing with the toy area, and they love seeing all of the kids, and then also like checking out is their number one thing they love. So they check out the people when they're there, and it's fun.
Okay. That's fun. So you have 4 helpers probably.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, how do people that have a product that are local, how do they get in contact with you? What are you kind of looking for as you're thinking about maybe stocking your shelves, your space? What do you look for in the products that you source or you have available?
So we really look for the ingredients. If it's local, then I look to make sure that there's no seed oils, there's no dyes, there's no just really simple ingredient items. Things that you can pronounce. I want everybody to be able to pronounce their food and know that it's whole food. And so with that, the best way to get in contact with us is to come in during business hours. We are a little swamped with messages, and so that's the best way. And we work on a wholesale model. And so it's pretty simple as long as the ingredients line up. And then also with our vendors, I like to have our vendor reach their capacity before I add another vendor. So with bone broth, I don't like to add another bone broth unless they were at their capacity, couldn't give me any more. And that way I can just really bring value to the current vendors instead of trying to spread it too thin.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I'm not sure who's listening, but there's a lot of great products around, and so it kind of helps when people are thinking about maybe pitching something to you.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I think is interesting about you, and we talked about this before I started the podcast, but I feel like you're very community minded and want to bring all this goodness and good stuff to your community. But it's interesting because you and your husband don't have an education in business, but that has not stopped you at all from figuring out a business model, consumer model, who you're going after and that kind of thing. Has that been interesting for you?
It has. My husband worked for a business coach for about 6 months.
Okay.
And during that time, he obviously learned a lot.
Okay.
But it was more of the mindset of like, if somebody else has done it, then we can do it too. So we've had a lot of failures, definitely. I've tried to start before the home inspection business. I think we did 3 different companies. And when you get into business, you realize that the ways to be successful are the same. No matter what company it is, it just might look a little different, but the ways to get there are the same. So since we did one, it was just a little bit easier to catapult and do the other. But they do look totally different. Like a grocery store and home inspection business have nothing in common, but the ways to be successful did.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's so interesting. Okay. So do you have any events for March or spring break that you are currently kind of thinking about, or should people just maybe look on your social media for what you'll have available?
Yeah, I think social media would be the best. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. And so we're kind of going to try and fill up the schedule with events. But every Saturday we do Donut Saturday, and they're gluten-free, dairy-free, all top 9 allergy-free besides coconut. And outside of that, everything will be posted on social media.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to touch on, because I've shared with some friends that you were coming and we were going to visit, and I shared that you and your husband opened this grocery store in Coweta and you have 4 young kids, and I don't want people to get into anything with the comparison, but do people ask you, how do you get all this done? How do you do it all?
Yes.
What's your answer to that?
My answer is I don't. And the reason I say I don't is, like with our house with 4 toddlers, it's very messy. So I outsource a cleaner there. And there are just different ways in our life that we put on autopilot or outsource so we don't have to do it all ourselves. And then also just being very, I guess, aware. There are the glass balls that you can't let drop in your life, and there's the rubber balls that can drop. And this year has definitely shown us that there are so many different rubber balls that I thought were glass. And so just letting it drop. I don't get everything done. I don't get all my messages answered. I am not fully organized, but we're doing it. And so you just take it a day at a time and do the best you can, and then you get done tomorrow what you didn't get done today. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. And then the theme surrounding my podcast for this year is living purposefully in 2023. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to find out how you have been living purposefully.
Well, the way I guess we're living purposefully now is getting those things in place to put us where we want to be at in life. So I don't want to be at the store 55 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So our main priority is, how can we get me back home more often, with the family more often? And so in doing that, just being very purposeful on what I'm choosing with systems and processes to make it simple to duplicate it for somebody else. And we are very consumed with the business right now, but in the next couple of months, we're being very purposeful on our actions so that we can get back to where we were before.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a little while,
yes.
You know, it's a little uphill, yes. But then once you get those systems in place and you can kind of hand it off, you can create different things and events and, yes. A lot of other things when you have that other part, I guess, smooth sailing on the other part. But
yeah, anyway. And just being very intentional with the kids, with game nights and We always have a special game snack, they call it. And so we just are trying to be very intentional with the amount of time we have with the kids.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for visiting with me. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to come and actually visit the market in person.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap on this week's episode. I want to thank you for listening to the Sharing Passion and Purpose podcast. It means the world to me, and I'd love to connect with you. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Sharing Passion and Purpose, and Twitter at Passion Sharing. Also, if you like this podcast, it would mean a lot to me for you to subscribe, rate, and review it. And as always, all my show notes will be available on my website, sharingpassionandpurpose.com.